You're listening to Mr. Open Banking, the only podcast dedicated to exploring the open banking movement. Whether you're a financial expert, banking executive, or everyday consumer, open banking affects everyone and will change the way we interact with our money. I'm Eyal Savan, your host. What is open banking? That depends on who you ask. Some describe it as a set of technologies, others as government regulation, while still others refer to it as a global movement. The funny thing is, all three of these are correct. At its heart, open banking is about letting people control their money. In today's modern world, there's a million different choices of where to put your money, how to send it between your friends, how to invest it. But oftentimes it can be really hard to take that money and put it into these new tools. That's because the existing ways of moving money around can sometimes be confusing, obtuse, or expensive. When people use their smartphones to order a cab or a pizza at their fingertips, expecting to have the same control over your money seems obvious. The fact is, today's banks have a really hard time moving money between each other and moving information between each other. The reason is they're built around owning the customer. They follow a model typically called the walled garden. Under this model, the banks expect to own the relationship with the customer for their whole lives, from cradle to grave. Oftentimes, financial institutions are the bulwark of a national economy. They have massive influence on politicians and regulators, and they genuinely do control enormous economic activity. So they can often erect shields, mechanisms that make it difficult for other people to become banks or participate in the banking ecosystem. In many ways, banking around the world is the most closed ecosystem of all. Open banking is an attempt to take this closed environment and, open it up, leading to more competition, innovation, and transparency. My main goal with the podcast is to educate people, to drive the discussion, to tell the global story of open banking, to trace its movement around the world, how it's done in different regions, what works, what doesn't. On the show, we're going to explore unique perspectives around all aspects of open banking, from the business strategies that drive open banking implementations to the systems that make it possible. But we're also trying to reach regular people and help them understand how the world of finance is being shaken up by open banking, giving them more ways to save their money, move money around, and improve their financial well-being. While there's lots of material out there that comes from the business perspective or the technology perspective, there really isn't very much that talks about the impact of open banking on everyday lives. That's where I come in. My name's Eyal Savan. I've been in technology for 25 years. At CIBC, I've been there for the last 15 years. I helped build a lot of their integration architecture and all of the stuff to do with APIs and other technologies that help systems talk to each other, that tie them together, broadly called integration. Now, while I was there, great job, very interesting. I got to learn a lot, build a lot of amazing systems, tell some amazing stories about technology. But there's always that other part of your job, the meaning part. And I felt like that was still something I didn't quite get from what I was doing. And I started to think of ways of how can I use the skills I have in technology to help change the world, so to speak. What I realized was open banking was that other side. It was an intersection between the part of me that wanted to build amazing systems and work on architectures and tell stories about technology, and that part of me that was seeking meaning and purpose. And it seemed like a lot of people were thinking about open banking the same way. I decided that it was something I wanted to dedicate myself to full-time. So after much soul searching and hard work to make sure that my longtime employer was left in a happy place, I made the decision to leave and dedicate myself to driving advancements in the world of open banking. Thanks for listening to Mr. Open Banking, the podcast that explores the ongoing evolution of open banking and its impact on our lives. Make no mistake, the rise of open banking is going to change financial services forever, and we will be covering that story every step of the way. This is your host, A.L. Savan. Until next time.